It's very yellow in this room. Why is it so yellow? Is it me? Maybe I don't want to sit right there. Yikes. Yikes. Maybe I want to sit. Okay. Welcome to Star People Storytime. I'm late. A little bit late. I couldn't find anything. Like my printer isn't working, but I guess that's neither here nor there. So today we are reading chapters 41, 42, and 43 because we are going to read the epilogue tomorrow. And then we'll be finished with this book. Well, it's gonna be sad. I think I'm sad. I'm gonna be sad. Yesterday we read chapter 40, which was titled New Eden, and Kai was able to bring her whole family down. Hey Bernard, welcome. Kai was able to bring her whole family down. What else did she do? That was a deep chapter. And essentially what she did was she was able to transform Eden. They planted the Magnanite tree, the whole entire thing. And we talked yesterday about how the whole entire family, even the Assholian, hey, even the Assholian, her Assholian ex, he contributed to this, the planting of the tree. It was all very beautiful and interesting and tear-jerking. And yes, so now we're going to end the series for the most part. Well, yeah, this is the end of the series, but we're going to read the last 3 chapters of the physical book, and then tomorrow we top it off with the epilogue, which is a chapter all by itself. So if you're ready, I want to give it a few minutes because I was late. So I want to give folks a few minutes to come in. So we'll do a tap dance a little bit. Today was such a weird day. Excuse me. It was so weird. Just a very weird day. I'm still trying to figure out, Bernard, what we're going, like, what the transition after this book is going to be. I suppose I'll figure it out at some point. We'll all figure it out. This is like, we should be chatting. I'm going to start in a few minutes. Not even a few minutes, in a few seconds. I was trying to print out, because I made some changes to these last chapters, so I was trying to print them out, and for whatever reason my computer and my printer aren't talking. There's a lot of energy surrounding this book. That's like, this whole month has been, a lot of energy. Some brainstorming, yeah. There's a lot of energy. I've been noticing that, you know, there are lots of technology glitches surrounding the meditation and the book. Like, this month has been very interesting. Now, it could be that I'm actually using the technology more, but I don't think that's really it. There's something else going on, and I don't know if it's when you raise the vibration, stuff gets wonky, or I don't know. And I don't really need to, you know, discover what it is. It's just like one of those things where I just notice that there's a lot of energy surrounding this book specifically. Very weird stuff. Very, very weird. As far as brainstorming, it's just a matter of figuring out if we're going to go right into book one. I don't think that's going to be the case. I feel like I need to at least get Aubrey in school, and, you know, there's a lot going on, so I want to make those adjustments. But I had just planned on doing the meditation and this book reading just for the month of August. But it doesn't make sense to just do it for the month of August. Oh, okay. It doesn't make sense to do it just for the month of August when, you know, it's kind of like we're building this following for Star People Storytime. I get emails and inboxes and texts and all the time, like, keep doing it, stop doing it. I mean, don't stop doing it. So I want to be able to continue to do it, but I also want to make sure that it makes sense for, you know, my coming schedule with Aubrey. So rather than continue to ramble along, we're just going to get started. I was waiting for Raj, and I knew Steve wasn't going to be here. Okay. So we'll just get started then, shall we? Chapter 41, Changed and Changing. I have a huge and savage conscience that won't let me get away with things. Octavia Butler said that. The click-clack of Kai's stilettos rang piercingly through the empty hallway, ricocheting off the gray marble walls like bullets. Her footsteps were the only sounds being made in the entirety of the building now. It felt abandoned and haunted. If only because all the people who were supposed to be working when the blackout happened hadn't decided yet that they too could leave. No one followed her out of the studio, and nobody was roaming the hallways looking for the way out. Kai wondered what they all were waiting for, though not really. She had already experienced what they were waiting for, the darkest part of Firewall. In retrospect, her talk with Ben O'Malley had gone better than she expected. Rather, she had expected it would have gone. Rather, she hadn't expected it would have gone anyway in particular, but the way it went was perfect. At first, she was surprised when the lights went out in the building, but then she remembered how important the darkness was to her journey, how it could be used to heal what she refused to see in herself, how cathartic it was to choose it, face herself in it, and then choose the light. She had wondered when the darkness of the network's persistent use of fear, doubt and worry, misinformation, lies and greed, plus thinly veiled prejudice and ridiculous superstition would finally catch up to them. She learned quickly that with the Magnani planted and the transition approaching, the old way was out. Individuals were either a part of the solution or they were the problem. If they were the problem, they would have plenty of darkness to sit in to figure themselves out. It was poetic, actually. She wasn't the judge or the jury. People maybe would tell her their story, and their story would magnify their results. She hadn't brought Ben O'Malley's building into the darkness. He and his colleagues had. They walked into that tunnel all by themselves. She, maybe, was only magnifying the fruits of their labor. Her wide smile lit up her face as she walked. This potential new power opened up so many possibilities in the coming months. How many corrupt corporations or bank headquarters could she enter in 4 months? How many animal farms and petro companies? How many major polluters of the planet and bereft police organizations? How many governments and judicial systems? How many lobbyist firms? The possibilities truly were limitless. The only thought that put a glitch in her smile was the possibility that this new ability may go away after the twins were born. There was no way for her to reach every corrupt, greedy place around the world in 4 months. 3, if she was being realistic about it. At 5 months pregnant, she didn't want the last month of her pregnancy to be on and off planes when she needed to be preparing in peace for the arrival of the 2 newest super children she was playing vessel to. Welcome, Raj! We tried to wait. She enjoyed her work. She enjoyed connecting with people through her blog. She enjoyed being able to travel and connecting to more and more people of Earth who were ready to live up to their potential. She even enjoyed being called Mother of the New Earth, as she had been dubbed publicly, thanks to Lara's brilliant publicity efforts. She had been on the cover of magazines and major newspapers. She had shared her insights with countless journalists and talk show hosts, all of whom were fascinated by what Kai had to say. Most of them, the best of them, were even willing to up-level their own work to make room for what Kai said was coming. Even though the world didn't seem to have changed much since she and her tribe had planted the Magdanai tree. Even though life as usual looked the same for most people, the Earth was both changed and changing. It turned out planting the tree wasn't going to change the world. Planting the Magdanai just created the foundation from which powerful, lasting change could emerge. They still had to do the work. There were still far too many people, the status quo, who didn't want anything to change. They had gotten fat off their greed and cruelty. It wasn't just corporations and governments. There were still many individual people who lived as though they were disconnected from the Earth ecosystem and from their fellow Earthlings. I didn't know how her work would address them, but she had resolved, finally, that all she could do was her part. As long as she did her part, it would be okay. She didn't need to know when the transition would happen. For all she knew, it was already happening. It could have started when Lucifer returned to Tuestai, or when they planted the Earth Magdanai, or even the moment they stepped through that red door in Lara's office. She was willing to admit that she didn't have all the answers and she didn't need to. What she did know, with some amount of emphasis, was that everything that happened was a cause set in motion. The end twine of mirth, which meant the joining of joy, was to be balanced. There was no stopping it. She, for one, was looking forward to the kind of Earth that represented exactly that, the joining of joy. She was looking forward to the kind of Earth she could take pride in leaving for all of her children of Earth, for all of the children of Earth, to raise their children up, on, through, and with. It was that thought that brightened her smile again, plus the thought that there would be a party waiting for her when she got home. Not only was it her tribe's new moon fete in the Pyramid Garden, complete with fabulous Stai food, wonderful music, and dancing until dawn, but it was also the day that Daddy-Ya and Henny came over to hang out with the rest of the family. Henny was slow to warm up to the idea, but once he started coming to visit Kaitu more regularly, and she won him over with her utter awesome, he came around all the time. Yaman was a regular at their home, but it was almost always special when he came during the new moon fete. It felt like every single month they celebrated a new unfoldment in their journey. Every month they got closer. Every month they made a game out of trying to guess the names Kaitu had picked out for the twins. She was tight-lipped, though. She said she would never tell until they arrived. Still, it was fun to guess. Without breaking her stride, Kai smiled at Moreau as she approached the security desk. He was sitting behind the desk, dressed as one of the building's security guards waiting for her. He smiled as he got up from the post to show Kai out of the building, into the light. Oh, sorry. He smiled as he got up from his post to follow Kai out of the dark building and into the light. So now we have figured out that Moreau was the security guard in the beginning, right? The puzzle came together, didn't it? All right, great. So now we're going to do chapter 42. You ready? Hey, okay. So chapter 42, shift of the people. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. Your awakening is a cause set in motion now. Pain or insight, that's how we learn. Either way, you will learn. Kai of Tustai said that, but she hasn't said it yet. So is that future sight? Ben was feverishly spinning the top of his lighter, trying to get a flame to spark. Even though his office and the offices of just about every executive in the building had at least one very large window that overlooked the city, not even a sliver of light seeped in the entirety of the building. Not even a glimmer. Ben had searched the length of his dark office for one sheet of paper. He was looking for the paper that his assistant printed out for him earlier that day. He had thrown it out just before his interview with Kai. He had to find that paper. He had to remember what it said. He kept clicking the lighter and spinning the top of it, trying to make a flame that he could use to see in his trash can. Ben had to make himself blink a few times because he swore his eyes were playing tricks on him. In the corner of his office, he saw a light. It was faint, but it was there. He walked toward it and realized it was coming from his garbage pail. He rummaged through intently until he had the crumpled wad of paper in his hands. He smoothed out the glowing page and pressed his nose as close to it as he could. He read aloud desperately, as though his only work in the world was to read every word on the page. As he read, his voice took on the tone and timbre of a person speaking into a microphone. Every soul who had trapped themselves in the dark building could hear him, as though he were speaking directly to them. Shift of the people. Number 1. The year is now. The transition is upon us. It won't happen swiftly, but it will happen. It's designed to happen. It will happen whether we want it to happen or not. We should want it to happen. Number 2. Some will try to stand in the way of our evolution. Those people will act as a wall designed to keep us from our path, but we won't be moved. Some will wear uniforms and act in multitudes to keep us oppressed and afraid, but we too wear uniforms. Number 3. They will know us by our stars. We will acquire our stars by extreme acts of bravery, for standing up for one another, by acting in one accord when one of us is being assaulted, as though all of us are being assaulted. Number 4. Those who are doing the assaulting may not know why they're doing it. Some of them are simply following orders. Some are following their hatred and fear. What they don't know is that there is a force working among them to keep us separated by class, color, creed, sexuality, gender, ideology, and ethnicity. The force has been working for a long time to keep us from uniting our cause. Number 5. Our cause is our humanity, our planet, our lives, our love. They are afraid of us because since the beginning of time, there has always been more of us than them. If we all decide to live up to our truest nature, none of them can decide anything at all for us again. So they hide in the shadows, believing they are making plays, believing in the religion of their greed. But a shift is taking place right now as you read this. Number 6, when the shift is complete, we shall be legion. There are no worries for you or your family. We will acquire the exact talents and powers required of us when the time comes. We will not be moved. Number 7, some of us will stand on the front lines wearing gold. They will send armies to confront us. What they don't know, what they can't know, is that mere armies and mere weapons are no match for our purpose. Their malevolence will not move us from our path. Number 8, we will proceed in one accord toward our purpose. It is their bubbling fear that weakens them and our confidence in our divine instruction that strengthens us. Number 9, when they surround us, we will surround them. Be we friend, foe, stranger, or relative, adult or child, their guns are no match for our light. Number 10, we will march forward, love around us, surrounding us, raising our hands as one people, as legion. Their weapons will find golden orbs of light instead of flesh to pierce. Those same golden orbs of light will take on and over every soul of every place on the earth where violence happens. The greed, the insolence, and the disregard will end. Number 12, it won't happen swiftly, but it will happen. The shift will begin in a single neighborhood and spread until there is no place on earth to hide from our light. Number 13, anything and anyone who is not growing is soil. There are no weak links in the new earth. Those who refuse to be one of all will be made new. Number 14, once the cancers that fester upon the earth are transmuted, we will then make a way for the new way. We will create the world we design for ourselves, a world of love, abundance, prosperity, generosity, well-being, and perfect health. A world of truth, love, and evolution. A world that remembers our divine connection and forgets the lie of separation. Number 15, the year is now. The transition is at hand. Prepare your gold clothes. Earn your stars. Further instructions are forthcoming. When he finished reading, he was quiet. The building seemed even quieter than it had been. The silence rang in his ears like noise. The glowing paper he held made his hands warm. He felt loved. He felt like he was a part of something greater than himself. He remembered a glimmer of why he had gotten into broadcasting to begin with. He wanted to be a catalyst for change, but he had forgotten. There was something just beyond his grasp that his mind's eye was reaching for. Instinctively, he closed his eyes and tried to remember. The words, Sai, Tai, Sa, was repeating over and again in his mind. He didn't know what the words meant, but he knew he would be stuck where he was until he did. It's all coming together now, isn't it? We're starting to understand the beginning, the prologue, the middle, and this, my friends, is the end. The end, like the last chapter before the prologue. I'm sniffling. We're going to get there. Ready? Chapter 43. Race you. Psychic trash must be upcycled, recycled, or transmuted. It will not disappear by planting a tree, no matter how powerful, magical, or otherworldly it may be. The people of Earth must each do their own inner work. They must rule themselves to defeat the Durg. The red orb said that. Basho di'in, Jasper I said, listening to the door click as it closed behind Moreau. He had been standing just outside waiting for his wife and his uncle-in-law to come out. What an incredible turn of events. Completely unexpected, but utterly necessary. I shall agree with you in the poetry of its dole of justice. Poetic justice, Kai said, laughing out loud. She had not stopped her brisk stride, not even to kiss her husband. He, for his part, hadn't hesitated to get his smooch on the go. Eventually, Moreau caught up enough to walk on the other side of her. Where to now? He asked. Home. Home it is. You want to fly? Moreau asked. Out here in the open, in front of everybody? Why not? The phones don't work on this block anyway. We'll go the opposite direction and stay close to the buildings. We'll look like big birds. Just don't tell Lara, Moreau said in all seriousness. Kai smiled. She loved the rebel in her Uncle Moreau. He had become like a father to her. Lara, too, had become less like an aunt and more like a mother. She hadn't seen Kuai Yin in a long while, but she kind of expected it when she took Lucifer. She had done so much work on Earth for so long, she needed a break. Kai was just happy they had done enough of their parts of the process to give her mother that gift. Rest. She wondered often what became of Lucifer and what justice for him looked like when he returned to Aphrodisia. I do not mean to interrupt your impetuous monkey mind session, my dearest Kai. But, madam, if we are going to fly, we must get on with it, Mahi said, sounding so comfortable and smart-ass. Kai was giddy. Why, Dr. Magi, I never heard you sound so human. Oh. Why, Madam Kai of Tustai, Magi, I cannot be sure how to take that as a compliment, he said in a huff. Oh, but it is. I can prove it to you, Kai said flirtily. I get when I have something to prove. Her voice was practically dripping with sensuality. Get a room, Moreau said, laughing. Why would we go get a room when we have a room waiting for us when we get home? Where on earth would one purchase a room anyway? And what does one do with it when one purchases it? Carry it around with one? Ridiculous. I told you, there's a lot of energy surrounding this book. Okay. So, I don't know what happened, but I'm going to go back to the part where it says, I'm going to go up some. I do not mean to interrupt your impetuous monkey mind session, my dearest Kai, but madam, if we are going to fly, we must get on with it, Mahi said, sounding so comfortable and smart-ass. Kai was giddy. Why, Dr. Magi, I've never heard you sound so human. Why, Madam Kai of Tustai, Magi, I cannot be sure how to take that as a compliment. I guess we can, maybe that was the, oh boy, sorry. Oh, but it is. I can prove it to you, Kai said, flirting. Is that so? He sounded intrigued. Of course. You know how I get when I have something to prove. Her voice was practically dripping with sensuality. Get a room, Moreau said, laughing. Why would we get a room when we have a room waiting for us when we get home? Where on earth would one purchase a room anyway? And what does one do with it when one purchases it? Carry it around with one? Ridiculous. Both Kai and Moreau busted out laughing so hard it was hard for them to keep from crying. Let's go, Kai said. I'll race you guys home, she said, brandishing her raven black wings. Home indeed. We all know a race with you in your special condition is a farce, Mahi said, shimmying his shoulders to brandish his own black wings. Just don't eat all the food before we get there. Can you manage that? Moreau added, brandishing his wings. Ironically, his wings turned up white. Is that so? Nobody knew why, but all 11 of the Styi who had lost the black wings they earned from being Lucifer's minions all turned up with white ones. No other Styi had them. Kai supposed it was their mark for having worked with the devil. They were still glorious, of course, as Styi wings were. I'm not making any promises. You two should try to keep up, she said with a smirk. Somebody in the distance gasped. They all assumed at the sight of their broad wings taking up the space where legs and arms should be. They looked at each other with glittering smiles and took off without another word. By the time Kai had felt the wind in her curls and the rush that flying gave her, she was so happy she could spit light. Flying was everything. Bashodin! She yelled to the sky, excited as she could be. It didn't take long, however, for the bulk from her ever heavier pregnant belly began feeling like a load. She hadn't had to carry the twins horizontally before, and certainly not in the air. She felt like a hazard, which made her want to get home faster. She looked over at Jasperai. I'm pretty sure this will be my last time flying for a while, she said in his head, while looking down at her belly. I better make it count. Before he could even ask her what she meant, whoosh, she was gone. By the time he blinked, all that was left of his pregnant wife was an extra bright silver light ribbon, leaving the only measurable trail behind her. Whoa, he said, shocked. Can we suppose she needed to get home quickly then? Moreau laughed. Well, indeed. She lapped us. But we didn't stand a chance anyhow. Aren't Styi pregnancies amazing? I promise it gets better. I cannot even imagine, Jasperai said, still shaking his head in amazement. You won't have to, Moreau said. You, son, get to live it. And just wait till the twins get here. Phew! You think she's fast now. Promise yourself, when she says the word race, you sit. He laughed so loud, the clouds rumbled too. Indeed, Jasperai said, joining in with the laugh. Indeed. And so there we have it. All we have left is the epilogue. But this book is done, yo. So what you think? We did it! Now granted, when I read, a lot of that stuff has changed, but that's alright. That's alright. I couldn't print out the pages. I'm telling you, there's a lot of energy going on with this book. I don't know, like, this is so odd and strange, but it's like, I never have this much issue with my phone. I never have this much, I mean, some things I have technical issues with just because I vibrate high anyway, boo. I'm teasing. But this month has been extraordinarily interesting. So thoughts? Questions? Thoughts? Ideas? You did? You love the journey? Yay! So what was your favorite part? We read a book on Facebook, yo. Do you know how big that is? Right. And it's, you know, okay, so one of the things that I thought was really interesting, because Kai didn't know anything about wings in book one, but one of the things I thought was really, really interesting was how prevalent black was. And I'm pretty sure that was on purpose, like not on my purpose, but it was on purpose. It's kind of like, it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot. And how when Lucifer turned evil, his skin got pale, you know, and then as he was kind of going back to sanity, he gained some color. Steve. Oh my God, I thought you had to show Steve. So it's just interesting, and how Lucifer purposefully chose black wings, and how like he wasn't born with black wings, but he chose them. That's stuff that happened that we found out in book 2. He chose his wings, and they talked about in this book too. He chose his black wings, and then interesting how when he went crazy, how he used the one thing that he loved, his daughter, and he changed his wings to match his daughter. Kai is love, exactly. Hi. Okay, so he loved his daughter, so I don't even know how he did it. No one talked about how he did it. He just changed his wing color from whatever he was born with, I think it was like blue-gray, to black. And when he turned crazy, the one thing that he loved, his daughter, he brought that with him, and kind of became, you know, that black, the color black kind of became synonymous with his evilness. But it really was kind of like the one thing of his love that he held on to was his daughter. And if you think about in the world how the color black is used, black is considered evil, it's dark, it's bad, it's this, it's that, you know, all the villains were black, and you know, all the good guys were white, the angels were white. In this book, white doesn't play that role. It's gold in this book. Gold is good. There's every color is good. Black is good. Black, and black is synonymous with, you know, like with Kai, she was the only one of her people who had the black wings, except when her father changed. But it's just interesting how when she and Jasper got married, and they did their, they ate something happened, and Jasper's wings turned black too. So Jasper and Kai both had black wings. The original mother, the original mother of Two Sty had black wings once, you know, the planet changed. So black is for the Styi is a sacred color. They're all colorful. So remember, black is all colors, right? So there's some interesting dynamics going on here, how, you know, it was rare for black to in Two Sty, except for their hair, of course, but just the wing color. Everybody had colored wings except for Kai. She had black wings. The original mother, Two Sty, had black wings. Lucifer changed his wing color to black. When he went batshit crazy on Earth, he made everything black, and then it was it was a tribute to his daughter, I'm sure, subconsciously. But then in the same token, you realize that he veered off, and then other people's perception of black went to go with how they felt about whatever Lucifer's character was. Now you fast forward, remember all his minions who had black wings, the Reapers, all of that stuff. Now you fast forward to Lucifer's returned to his people through Kuai Yin. And I think Kuai Yin has white, like bright white light, but she's gold too. She's gold too. There's a lot of gold in her hair. You don't do gray hair, it's gold. And so what had happened, there are angelics, they're all colorful. So the only time that white comes into play was when Lucifer's former minions, you have to be very mindful of what that is. When the devil's minions, who were Styi, get their wings back, whatever color they used to be is irrelevant. Now they're all white. So I'm probably going to have to do a little processing on what that actually means, but there's something deeper to that. And I'm saying something, I'm sure, about our perception of whiteness. Dun, dun, dun. Wayne, am I Kai? You are the second person that's asked me that. I think we're all Kai. I'm not answering that question. You're not gonna get me, Steve. I mean, Wayne. Bye, Steve. Kai is love. That's right, Raj. Tell him. Kai is all of us. In book 1, the very first thing that I say is Kai is you. And I view Kai as every single one of us. The word Kai, the name Kai means love. Tumors are white. I'm talking to you right now. You really love the militant speech? You thought that speech was militant? That's right. Without the black, the stars can't shine. Come on now. Ow. That's right. Truth, Wayne, what? That's right. Without the black, the stars can't shine. That's right. You just summed up the whole book. Without the black, the stars can't shine. I need to write that down. And I'm going to quote you. Without the black, the star, that's going to be in book 4. Okay? That's going to be one of the quotes. Without black, the stars can't shine. Wayne Gibbs. That was dope. What happened to my pen? Okay, so what was the speech? Like, okay, so just so you know what that was, remember, so the last few chapters kind of went back to the beginning. So the prologue started with Kai in Ben O'Malley's studio. And remember, they had this whole, this very weird conversation where he was blathering on, and she was sitting there, and she's just kind of like watching everything. And then she's replaying how she got there. And how she got there was she wrote this thing, and she put it on her blog, and her Aunt Lara made it go viral. And so she found herself at lots of different news stations having conversations about what she wrote. And so Ben had invited her on the show. She obviously was, the way I view it is that like Ben O'Malley and his station are very much like Fox News. So you can visualize it as like a Fox News. That's how I saw it. And Ben O'Malley could be, I'm not going to say it for you. You can figure it out. So it just so happened that Ben was such a dick that he actually triggered something in himself. And he triggered something in the building. So if you think of who is probably the most visible dickhead on a shitty station that pilfers hate and fear, that was who Ben O'Malley was. He represented that station. And so his being a dickhead triggered all of it, the course of events that happened. So that was the prologue. It kind of set up, okay, everything went dark, right? So then we went back to when Kai and her family were into about to leave. And then, we went through the journey of how we got to be exactly there, which was the prologue. That was the whole course of events of how they got to be there. And Ben O'Malley's talk was kind of like the culmination, if you will. It culminated like how they got to be there. So we went through the whole journey of why that darkness was so powerful, right? Because at the tail end of what we read like yesterday and the day before, that darkness, Kai going through that thing and figuring out why it's so powerful to meditate. Now here we are. That was my whole point in saying all of that was that thing that she wrote that got her on Ben's show was that, which you called the speech. It was that 15-point shift of the people. And I think it's called something else, but I can't remember what it's called now. It's in the book, it's Shift of the People, but I called it something else because it's going to stand alone by itself. Yeah. The speech was needed. Everyone on this planet should hear it. Yeah. Agreed. What I want to do is I want to do a video where I have people, just different people, reading a line or two of that mantra. And I called it something else. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's, for right now, it's just Shift of the People. That's what we're calling it. We're calling it Shift of the People. It's called something else, but whatever. It's right now, it's Shift of the People. So what I want to do is I want to film. I want to, get a group of folks together and film reading each line from the book, and put together kind of a video of the 15 points, maybe 15 points of power. It sounds like the 48 Laws of Power. I hate that shit. So that could be something, you guys, if you want to be, if you guys are in the Philadelphia area, are you in the Philadelphia area? Anyone? I'm going to set up something in the coming weeks, just some sort of meetup, and I want to film a bunch of people reading those lines. So if you're interested, you can inbox me your contact and I'll set something up. Okay. And you said without black stars can't shine. So we finished. When I don't know how long you've been here, but you're gonna have to go back, maybe, I don't know. And then, okay, so tomorrow we still have the epilogue tomorrow. So plan to be here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat station, and we'll read the epi tomorrow. So anything else? Questions? Comments? Hey Corey, welcome. You missed it. But that's okay. We'll be done in a few minutes. You can go back and watch. So what had happened was, we finished the book. We still have the epilogue that we're going to read tomorrow. So that's the only thing I just said. Oh, that's too funny. But Corey, I was just telling everybody else that I'm not going to ruin it for you. You just go back and watch it, and you can. I have not started book 4 yet, but it's coming. I start writing in November. Don't ask me why. It's become kind of like this ritual for me that I start in November. And part of it is because I was writing, I like to use tools that already exist in the world to keep me, on path. And so there's this novel writing challenge called National Novel Month or something. NaMRO. I'm saying it wrong. That's why I just kept going. Oh, thank you, Steve. I thought you got off. Coming back and leaving. So they do a challenge in November, and so the challenge is to write 50,000 words within the month of November. And so what that helps me do is I start with day 1, and then I have kind of, once you get halfway through a book, for me anyway, it's smooth sailing from that point. So what doing that challenge does for me, and it's an interface, like I guess I do cut and paste. It's a whole interface where they check your word, like your word count and all that other stuff, and it keeps you accountable. So for me, that just helps me, especially in the beginning when you have to be open, and we're prone to fear, And so what happens is you might see where something is going and not want to go down that road and be afraid of it. And so what happens with this challenge is, because you have to do a certain amount of words by the end of the month, you're really focused on just whatever I write today, that's what I write today. And I can go back later. So it forces you to keep moving forward. So my point being is, I start in November because I have a thing in place that keeps me focused. So, and authentic and not writery. Because doing outlines, that whole outline stuff, that would make this writery, and I don't want it to be writery. Any other questions? Comments? You missed it, Steve. You missed it. You missed it. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be back with the prologue. With the epilogue. We already did the prologue. And I would like to do a live one. So these are things that you have to, this is your homework for the coming weeks. I'm going to take about a week, maybe 2 weeks, just to kind of get my headspace together. But I would like to do a live one of these. And I don't know what that looks like yet. Like a live reading or something like that. I don't know what it looks like yet. But I feel like it's something that we could do if you're interested. Where maybe it's a live reading where I have other people come and read characters or something like that. Just something that'll be fun and interesting, and it's still, we're still reading the book, but it's a little bit more interactive, and then we can have a live question and answer session or something like that. I'm going to work through it, but your input is greatly appreciated. That's the one thing. And then the second thing is, if you're in the Philly area, I want to do a reading. And I need more people than just like 5, and I need some girls too. So, so I would like to get maybe 15 people to read, so I have enough material to edit and, mix and match, and, not quite, like Michael Jackson's Black or White, not quite that, but the idea is to kind of splice everybody together reading those 15 points. So that's some homework for you too, something if you're interested in doing, if you're in the Philly area, even if you're not, if you're in a tri-state, drivable, whatever, just kind of give me an idea if that's something you're interested in doing. And I think that's it. This August has been so full for me, and I thank you so much for taking this ride. It's just wow. Just wow. I'm looking forward to reading book 1 with you. But remember, tomorrow we still have 1 more chapter, so don't play. You will be here tomorrow at 11:11. Okay? So I'm going to go, because I have some things I need to do. But I love you madly. Levi and Heil Star people. Peace.